be lifted at 11:59 tonight. Can I start the meeting with the prayer, please, councillors? We ask for guidance and blessing on this council. May the true needs and well-being of our communities be our concern. Help us who serve as leaders to remember that all our decisions are made in the best interests of the people, culture and the environment of the Corangamite Shire. Amen. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land around Corangamite Shire, the Eastern Maar and Wadawurrung people. We pay our respects to all Aboriginal elders and peoples past and present. Thank you, councillors. Start meeting. First item is the confirmation of, I beg your pardon, there are no apologies, Mr Mason, but I believe there are a number of declarations of conflict of interest.
That's correct, Madam Mayor. So we've got 4 declarations of conflict of interest from myself, Councillor Cole, Councillor Hickey and Councillor Macon, and all of those conflicts relate to item 9.4, which is the council grants. And so what we will do is we will deal with those conflicts of interest one by one at the start before you consider the body of the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Councillors, there's a recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting held on Tuesday the 29th of June be confirmed. They've been circulated. Can someone move those, please? Councillor Cole and seconding Councillor Macon. Any questions around the minutes? If not, I'll put it to a vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 7 is committee report 7.1, the Cobden Recreation Centre Committee of Management 2021 to 2023. Ms Love, can you introduce this, please?
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, this report is presented to endorse the membership of the Committee of Management for the Cobden Recreation Centre for 2021 to 2023. The Cobden Recreation Centre is managed by a Committee of Management appointed in accordance with an agreement between Council, Cobden Technical School and the Cobden Recreation Centre Committee of Management. The annual general meeting of the committee was held in June, and a number of people were nominated for appointment for a 2-year term. Councillors, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Love. Councillors, recommendation. Someone like to move that, please? Councillor Beard, do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Macon. Councillor Beard.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Certainly many of those names have been regular representatives for many years on this particular committee, and I can guarantee you, having spoken to some of those people recently, they're certainly keen to see that facility getting some use in the coming 12 months following the previous 12 months that we've had, where a lot of sporting, different sports that would normally be played at that facility have certainly had to go into recess because of COVID. So it certainly has made an impact to those user groups, but I certainly want to thank those people who continually put their hand up for the betterment of our community, and certainly wish them all the best as this committee forms for their next tenure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Macon.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to say thank you to all the people that have put their hands up to go on this committee. As we all know, that the volunteers are the lifeline and backbone of many committees, and it's been quite hard through COVID and everything else for committees and volunteers to do what they need to do. So I would just like to say thank you for putting your hand up, and I look forward to seeing what we can get done in the next couple of years. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Macon. Councillors, is there any other comment? I'll put this to the vote. All in favour? It's carried. Item 7.2, the Audit and Risk Committee Annual Assessment. Mr Ray, can you introduce this item, please?
Mayor, thank you. Mayor and councillors, the Local Government Act requires Council's Audit and Risk Committee to undertake an annual assessment of its performance, measuring itself against the requirements of the Act, but also its charter. The committee undertook that assessment in June of this year, and it was reported and considered at the committee's June meeting, and the Act requires that the Chief Executive Officer table that assessment at the next most practical council meeting, which is this evening. The results of this, as I said, Mayor, the results of the assessment were discussed and considered at the committee meeting. The results recognise or do identify some opportunities for improvement. It's important to note that this is the first review of this committee, and so the results in itself should be taken as baseline. Similarly, there's been a change of membership, which may be reflected in some of the assessment as well. And I guess a key outcome of that assessment process was a need for some professional development, given the change of committee membership. So, Mayor, the recommendations before you to receive the assessment for 2021 as tabled by the Chief Executive Officer in accordance with the Act.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Councillors, somebody move the recommendation. Councillor Canady, seconded by Councillor Hickey. Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. And thank you, Mr. Ray, for that report. So as Mr. Ray said, the review was a requirement of the Local Government Act 2020. I believe the results were certainly reflective of the timing of the review, with 3 of the committee members having the benefit of only 1 or 2 meetings at that stage. So I think there was an element of caution in the responses, and we were very aware of our early days experience on the committee. So in this context, the review is certainly baseline. So amongst us, though, there is a very healthy appetite to do the job very well, and we're really looking forward to the opportunity for professional development, because it is an important committee and we all want to do it as best we can. So I support the motion for Council to receive the results of this assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Thank you. Councillor Hickey, did you have something further to add?
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, look, I'm delighted to second this motion too. And also, having put my hand up for the Risk and Audit Committee, I did recognise the fact that it's probably one of the bigger committees that the councillors or we councillors are due to undertake. It is seen as a baseline. I agree with Director Ray when he said that is a baseline, and it'll be great to improve a lot of professional attitude around the committee. Looking forward very much to doing so, and I join with Councillor Canady by saying that we will have a happy appetite to do the very best we can within this job and welcome professional development in this area.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillors, is there anything further? I'll put that to a vote. All in favour? It's carried. Item 8 is planning reports. 8.1, planning scheme amendment C51 for council adoption. Ms Lindley, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Planning scheme amendment C51 seeks to implement stage 1 recommendations of the rural living strategy and makes updates to existing township framework plans contained within the Corangamite planning scheme. Public exhibition of the amendment has been undertaken with a total of 9 submissions received, each supporting the amendment and proposed changes. A late submission was received by the CFA, which focuses upon future staged implementation of the strategy and managing bushfire risk to protect property and life. Consultation has subsequently been held with the CFA, and their submission does not affect this stage of the amendment. Council adoption of the amendment and submission to the Minister for approval represents an important milestone in implementing Council's rural living strategy and providing for future rural residential development across the Shire to attract more housing and population growth. However, this amendment and the rural living strategy is only one component of Council's forthcoming strategic planning program. The future focus will be given to long-term planning for townships, particularly around housing, residential development and new investment opportunities. The recommendation is before you, Madam Mayor, to adopt the amendment and authorise its submission to the Minister for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Lindley. Councillors, recommendation there? Someone willing to move? Thank you, Councillor Beard. Thank you, Councillor Canady, for seconding. Councillor Beard.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. This planning scheme amendment is following on from the rural living strategy, which was adopted by the previous council back in 2019. And then obviously council officers drafted this amendment in which is before us now. The benefit of C51 is that it will tidy up, so to speak, the current planning scheme when it comes to rural residential living planning and also be more user-friendly. It will develop clear policy as to where rural living is appropriate and where it should be encouraged, as well as assuring a long-term supply of land for rural residential development in the right places, which can never be underestimated. What's important to note is that this process was well underway prior to COVID-19 and is for rural residential as opposed to low density residential, which is, I think other councils will agree, is what often people are talking to us about around demand at the moment across our communities. Rural is known as being above 2 hectares or 5 acres, for some that may not know that, and low density is below that. This council has identified, you've got to love Zoom meetings. This council has identified in our council plan and therefore resourced appropriately implementation of a residential land review. COVID threw us a positive curveball by the way of population migration and significant market demand for new residential land availability. This financial year, Cobden will have a new structure plan carried out following findings of the land review, then followed by Terang and Camperdown. Our planning department are committed to positioning our shire on the front foot when it comes to lifestyle attraction. We have the recent funding announcements for the Simpson and Timboon Unlocking Housing Project, as well as the Key Worker Housing Project, which is shire-wide. Then we also have our planning scheme review, which is also to be actioned in the coming months. All of this can be looked at in a positive light. COVID has resulted in a big shift in the regional property market for supply and demand. This amendment is critical and aligns with all other strategically proposed projects to set our towns up and to manage the growth and have the flexibility and diversity in our planning, hopefully offering something for everybody. I want to thank the stakeholders that were obviously part of the original rural living strategy and then getting it to the amendment process, including real estate agents, public organisations, agencies, landowners and community members, and then more recently the 9 submitters that were acknowledged before to helping inform this amendment. It is an exciting stage and it's very relevant and yeah, it's very timely. So I have no problems in moving the motion on this one. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Kennedy.
Certainly not too much more to add after Councillor Beard's thorough examination of this item, except to say that the amendment is essentially an important strategy to make provision for development and investment in Corangamite. It's planning for future rural residential needs in our towns relating to existing rural residential land supply and new opportunities in this arena. And we certainly have been experiencing enormous interest in rural residential living in the past 18 months or so. There is pressure in all of our towns for rural residential blocks. This amendment is specifically for implementation of stage 1 of our rural living strategy and making updates to our existing township framework plans can't come fast enough. It's been very pleasing that residents took an interest in the planning scheme amendment, and all submissions received following the public exhibition period were very positive. So with Councillor Beard, I support the motion to adopt the amendment. Thank you.
Councillor Kennedy. Thank you. Anything further, councillors? I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9, Officers' Reports. 9.1 is the Domestic Wastewater Contribution Program Policy. Ms Lindley, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to revoke the current Domestic Wastewater System Contribution Program Policy and adopt an updated policy to be implemented in the 2021-22 financial year. The policy aims to provide a financial incentive for the development of new housing in the Shire on lots in township areas that are not serviced by a reticulated sewerage system. This includes the towns of Darlington, Derranallum, Lismore, Newrit and Princetown. The program has been developed in response to feedback provided to Council that the high costs associated with wastewater treatment on small blocks in the towns without sewerage schemes is a barrier to development. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Lindley. Councillors, there's a recommendation there to revoke the existing policy and adopt the new one. Someone like to move that motion? Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Seconder? Councillor Cole? Thank you. Councillor Hickey, have you got anything you'd like to add to this? You're on mute, Councillor Hickey.
Yes, the old chestnut. Look, I'd very much like to move this this project, and it's purely procedural, but it is very worthwhile. If we're going to increase and encourage growth and set it up for the future, we need to provide the financial incentive for people to do so, and I think it's a very worthwhile amendment or adoption of the new policy.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Cole?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to add Councillor Hickey's comment that I know, talking to some of the block owners in Lismore and Derrenallum and Darlington, and the cost of the sewer system or septic system is very high. And I know of one block owner that was considering building a house, and that was one of the major stumbling blocks for actually development. So if we can make it easier to get people there to build houses, things albeit so much better for the towns. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. And you're quite right, it's the smaller towns that, you know, you mentioned that the towns in the north, including Noorat and Princetown, throughout the rest of the Shire. So certainly a very worthwhile grant scheme if people can make use of it. I'll put that to the vote if there's nothing further. All those in favour? Carried. Item 9.2 is another policy review. This time it's the quick response grants. And Ms Lindley, you again, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report recommends Council adopt the Quick Response Grants Policy dated June 2021 as attached, and revoke the Quick Response Grants Policy dated February 2018. The policy establishes a framework by which Council can achieve its objectives in supporting the distribution of funds to community groups in a variety of ways and in a responsive manner. The Quick Response Grants Policy has been reviewed and updated in accordance with Council's policy development framework and is attached for Council's approval to the agenda. Only minor alterations have been made to this policy. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Lindley. Councillors, someone move the new policy, quick response grants. Thank you, Councillor Makin. Seconded, Councillor Cole. Councillor Makin?
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. This policy is just updating it so it's current with the new government acts, while ensuring that it's successfully flexible to meet a variety of community needs, while ensuring it remains efficient to the administrator. So I'm quite happy to put this new policy through. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Makin. Councillor Cole, did you have anything further to add?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to say that I've said it before and I'll say it again, these quick response grants are a godsend to a lot of small community groups that can access quick funds to repair something or update something, and keep them ticking along quite well, and especially at the moment with COVID and these being hard to raise funds. So thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Cole. I think for Councillor Beard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just in relation to, it's just a comment really in relation to the acquittal process, and it's highlighted that having the funds claimed and expended within the 3 months, it's been highlighted from various projects during COVID period particularly, that if there's an issue with that, to obviously just pick up the phone and have a discussion with that team at the Shire, at the office. We want to see the money in and out as quickly as possible, but we certainly understand if projects can't be expended in that 3 months. But certainly encourage any of those community groups, if they are having trouble with that, just to, as I said, pick up the phone and have a talk with the team, and so they can work something out going forward. But it's a great program that we're very fortunate that we have the ability to be part of.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. And I think that I raised that same issue with the CEO yesterday, and it's actually applicants need to apply for their funding, to take their funding up within 3 months, not have their projects completed. They actually have 6 months to do that. I read it the same way as you did. So it's after the grant is actually approved. So if someone's approved tonight, they have 3 months to get in touch with council and seek access to their funds. So it's a bit more lenient, but even in 6 months at this time, it might be impossible for some groups to access or to take up the funds, but then to acquit them. So once again, as you say rightly, they need to get in touch with us and let us know what's happening. Councillors, I'll put that to the vote if there's no further comment. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.3 is the support for councillor professional development policy review. Mr Mason.
Well, thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. The support for councillor professional development policy outlines the type and extent of professional development that councils can undertake. Professional development, as we all know, is very important for councils. It helps build skills and networks and knowledge, and helps councils provide at a very high level. So the policy is largely the same as the previous policy, and it's recommended that you approve it.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Councillors, the new policy has been provided. Councillor Kennedy, you're happy to move that? And do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey, thank you. Councillor Kennedy.
Madam Mayor, and through you, as Mr Mason said, there's no doubt professional development is a very important element for any councillor to execute their role and to build network skills and knowledge, and we are committed to do that. The bones of this policy have worked well. As Mr Mason said, the amendments are only minimal, minor, and have been made to keep the policy updated and current. So the new policy is pertinent to its purpose, and I support the adoption with the amendments as tabled.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Hickey, do you have anything further to add?
Not much, only to say that through you, Mayor, that the policy is a great policy. It gives everybody the opportunity who put their hand up for council to actually be educated in the professional manner to undertake the job better. So it's a critical part of the councillor's role, and I support the changes.
Terrific. Thank you, Councillor Hickey. No further questions, councillors? All those in favour? That's carried. Item 9.4 is one of our best items all year, I think. It's when we deal with the Council Grants Program for 2021-2022. Ms Lindley, can you introduce this item, please? And as mentioned earlier, several councillors do have conflicts of interest. That's what it means about being part of small communities. And so each of us who have conflicts of interest will leave the meeting while the vote's been taken on those separate items after we've heard the introduction. Ms Lindley, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to approve the annual allocation of funds for the 2021 to 22 program. That includes the community grants, facility grants, environment grants, and the events and festivals grants program. In total, 109 grant submissions were received across all 4 grant programs, requesting a total of $271,804. Each grant program has a specific set of eligibility criteria, which is outlined in the report. Applicants for all grant programs are invited to apply through various forms of media, including online and print form. The programs have been the subject of media releases and advertisements in Council's notice board and in newspapers, community newsletters, and posts placed on the Corangamite Shire Council Facebook page. So the consultation has been extensive. Following an assessment process, it is proposed to allocate funding to 106 applications at a total value of $229,158. The officer's recommendations have been separated into 8 separate recommendations, and it is proposed that each recommendation be taken separately. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Lindley. The first motion there relates to Camperdown Courthouse, and as a volunteer at the courthouse, I've declared a conflict of interest. So I'll ask Deputy Mayor Joe Beard to take the chair for this item and ask to be removed from the virtual chamber. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, councillors, as you can see, the Camperdown Courthouse project has been separated. So item 0.1, we will call it, allocate funds of $1,000 to the following community grant, being the Courthouse Camperdown. Do I have someone move that motion, please? Councillor Kennedy, and seconded by Councillor Hickey. Councillor Kennedy, was there anything you wanted to speak to that particular motion?
Well, not specifically. I mean, I think the grants, the program is fantastic. I mean, we all know how much they're appreciated in the community. So no, I'm happy to move that the courthouse received their grant, and I've provided for them.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. And Councillor Hickey, any more comments?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and I'm sure this is going to be echoed through the rest of the applicants too. But they do a fantastic job with the Camperdown Courthouse Incorporated as far as a front standing for the community, and this will go a long way to helping them continue to provide that very significant service to the community.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. We'll put that motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That motion is carried. We'll now request the Mayor to re-enter. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The next recommendation involves the Timboon Recreation Reserve Committee of Management. So I'll ask the host to remove Councillor Macon from the chamber, please. Thank you. Councillors, there's a recommendation there to allocate $1,237.50 to the Timboon Rec Reserve. Someone like to move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Cole. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Beard. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried. Can we bring Councillor Macon back into the chamber, please? Thank you. Recommendation 3 allocates funds to the 2022 Camperdown Cup. Councillor Hickey, you're involved with the Turf Club, so I'll ask that you leave the chamber, please. Councillors, recommendation there to allocate $5,000 to the 2022 Camperdown Cup. Is there any comments, discussions? Someone like to move that? Thank you, Councillor Beard. Seconded, Councillor Cole. Any comments? If not, put that one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Can we have Councillor Hickey back in, please? Thank you. And recommendation number 4 relates to the Inner Baraka Festival. And so we'll say goodbye to Councillor Cole for a few minutes. Thank you. Councillors, in-kind contribution of $1,166 to the Inner Baraka Festival. Is there any comments, questions? Would someone like to move that? Thank you, Councillor Hickey, and seconded, Councillor Macon. No further comment. Put it to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Can Councillor Cole come back, please? Terrific. Okay, councillors, the balance of the recommendation involves the allocation of funds, $1,677 to the Community Grant Fund. Someone like to move that? Thank you, Councillor Cole and Councillor Macon. Is there any comment on that? Councillor Cole.
Through you, Madam Mayor. As we said earlier, these grants, community grants, the whole lot of them are a great way of keeping community activities going and people involved, and it's a wonderful, it gives a great community spirit to the whole of the Shire, which is what we really want to bring to the fore. So I think they're a wonderful way of doing it, and congratulate everyone for putting their hands up. So as a blanket, I'm happy to move the whole lot. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillor Macon, did you have anything extra to add? No. Okay, councillors, can we vote on the community grant applicants, please? All those in favour? Carried. Item 6 allocates funds of $61,810.50 to the facility grant application. So these are primarily halls and recreation reserves. Would someone like to move that? Thank you, Councillor Beard. Do I have a seconder?
Sorry, through you, Mayor, if you could just indulge me for a moment, can I request that we move number 6, 7 and 8 as a block, and then we can talk to it as a whole, if that's okay?
That would be fine if you would like to do that. So you've moved 6, 7 and 8 as a block. Councillor Kennedy, are you happy with that? Yep, okay. Councillor Beard.
Look, I'm probably just repeating what's already been said. All these projects are so worthy. It's just great. Every time we get to do these grants every year, it's always about the diversity of projects and the importance of what that small amounts of money can do for some of these community groups that don't often get recognition or the ability to obtain grants any other time of the year. And then also when it comes to their environment, it's that little bit of money that can go so far in making a difference. So I'm sure each and every one of you agree with me how important these grants are, and it's fantastic that Council as a whole continues to get behind this grant system. And thank you to the staff. There was many staff involved in the scoring process and helping each of these applicants get through to this process as well. We encourage each of the community groups or anyone who is a bit unsure of how to go about the application process to contact the Shire officers for some guidance, and it's great to know that that process is helping, and certainly, yeah, as I said, thank those staff that are involved in that process.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Kennedy, did you have something to add?
Again, I think everything has been said really, but I too actually had made a note to thank the assessment team for the great job they did with the allocations. You know, they had to do quite a bit of work to move some funding around, and I think that the outcome has been really pleasing for all the submissions. So great job, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. I absolutely agree with you and Councillor Beard. There's certainly a lot of applications there, and the team have done a great job. Councillors, if there's nothing further, we'll move that block motion. All those in favour? Carried. Okay. Item 9.5 is the quick response grants allocation for July 2021. Ms. Linley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report is to consider the July 21 allocation of funds as part of the Quick Response Grants program, the first allocation for this financial year. Applications for Quick Response Grants, as we've previously discussed, are considered as they are received and are assessed against criteria including alignment with the council plan, benefit to the community and eligible expenditure. The annual budget allocation for the program is $17,500. Madam Mayor, there is an error in the table in the council report, and thank you to Councillor Macon for identifying that the available funds should not read zero, but be reset at $3,500 per ward, as this is the beginning of the financial year. Madam Mayor and councillors, officers have received 2 applications, one from Progressing Cobden for the Cobden Business Network Hub setup costs, and another from the Camperdown Junior Hockey Club for the purchase of team hoodies for their development squad. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Linley. Councillors, this is always a very popular program. Someone like to move Swam. Councillor Beard and a seconder, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Beard.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Look, I'm probably more familiar with the Progress in Cobden application than the Campdown Junior Hockey Club, but I'm sure both are awesome projects that certainly deserve the quick response funding. Speaking for the Cobden project, this came about following not only the dairy crisis, or the clawback as we called it a few years ago, but also St Patrick's fires. And I guess the acknowledgement that Cobden itself needed some extra business support within the town. The support they get from Corangamite Shire is outstanding, but a more tailored and I guess generalised area for the township of Cobden. The network hub itself will become a pivotal point for all businesses to be able to access in the community for some extra support as required specialised support. And it's also an ability for other businesses to potentially go in and share that office space as well. So it's very innovative. At first, it was probably a bit of a pie in the sky idea that has certainly come to fruition, and I certainly wish them all the best. And already that hub has certainly hit the ground running. So this will certainly go a long way into enhancing the capabilities of that facility.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Hickey, did you have anything to add?
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, one of the advantages of being in the Corangamite Shire is that there is access to this, and of course, this does provide a lot of opportunity for volunteers to get things done on a very quick basis. The money has been reset, as was illustrated earlier in the discussion, and I really encourage anybody who needs some grants to please get in contact with the officers and put their application in.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillors, I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.6 is the provision of electricity agreement 2021. Ms Love, please.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, the purpose of this report is to approve the purchase of electricity for council's small metered sites such as council's buildings, barbecues, etc. Council has 93 metered sites that are currently provided electricity through AGL. The contract expired on the 30th of June, and council has subscribed to MAV's tender process to procure the supply of electricity for a further 3 years. MAV have undertaken a competitive tender process in accordance with the Local Government Act, and pleasingly the cost of electricity supply for council is expected to reduce by 15% under the agreement for the next 3 years. Council can opt to approve the procurement of electricity supply under this agreement. We haven't made an allowance for green power under this agreement, as it's proposed council continues to invest in sustainability initiatives rather than purchasing green power. Councillors, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Love. Councillors? Somebody prepared to move the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Kennedy, and seconded Councillor Vogels. Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. I think Ms Love said everything there is to say about this this agreement. I'm very comfortable with it. I have nothing further to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Vogels.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. No, I'm all good with this. Continuing supply with AGL makes it roll through a lot better, and it's just good that the MAV has come up with an agreement that keeps us with the same supplier, which is always easier.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Any further comments, councillors, or questions? To a vote, all in favour? Carried. Item 9.7 is contract 2022-006, the provision of roadside vegetation management, including tree services, roadside slashing and spraying for the Corangamite Shire. Ms Love.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, this report seeks to approve the contract for the provision of roadside vegetation for a period of 2 years, being 1 August through to the 31st of July 2023. Tenders were sought from providers of vegetation management services for inclusion on a list of contractors that council can access for various works. 13 tenders were received and an assessment of the submissions was undertaken against the evaluation criteria, and that has determined that some tenderers didn't tender for all service provision. It's advantageous that council has multiple suppliers. That enables us to be flexible and complete a variety of work that'll ensure that we can address the varying matters across our Shire. And we believe under the assessment there's a sufficient number of contractors for each section of the contract to enable us to undertake our programmed and unplanned maintenance of management of roadside vegetation. The contractors will be awarded work based on an assessment of the individual project scope, budget and timeframe, location to ensure that best value for council is achieved. And it's recommended that a number of contractors be engaged under this panel contract. The recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Love. Yes, there are 9 there as part of that contract. Councillors, someone prepared to move that? Councillor Hickey, seconder, Councillor Cole. Councillor Hickey. You're on mute again. Thank you.
I thought that space bar worked. The tender process is very well, the evaluation process is very thorough. I'm very confident that the people who have been allocated the successful tenderers will do the job very, very well. And I might suggest that the unsuccessful applicants maybe contact the officers and perhaps work through them what was disadvantages for them. But probably as a visitor would come to the Shire, one of the first things I do notice is the condition of the roads and the vegetation slashing, and that's one of the things that's been noted very much in the last 4 or 5 or 10 months anyway. Yeah, congratulations to the successful applicants.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councillor Hickey said, if a visitor comes into the Shire, they're generally travelling along a road, and if the roads are the verges anyway are well maintained. The Vic roads aren't always all that well maintained, but it's noted and people notice it and see how it looks attractive and well in a good order, and it makes it a lot more pleasant for them to visit the area and safer for the area too. So congratulations, I have no trouble. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillors, nothing further. All those in favour? Carried. Item 9.8 is contract 2021-026, the construction of 12 Apostles Trail Stage 1, Package D, along the Timboon-Peterborough Road and Timboon-PORT Campbell Road between Haywards Road and GLERUMS Road. Ms Love.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, the purpose of this report is to award contract 2021-026 for Package D of the 12 Apostles Trail. Council has undertaken a competitive tender process and 4 submissions were received. An evaluation of those submissions was undertaken in accordance with the strategic procurement plan and the specified criteria. Civil now were considered to provide the best value for council, having regard to the capacity and capability to deliver the project, their previous experience with civil infrastructure projects and involvement on another section of the trail already awarded, and their ability to meet the required timeframes. Councillors, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Love. Councillors, there is a recommendation there awarding this tender. Someone like to move that? Thank you, Councillor Macon. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Vogels. Councillor Macon.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. I'm excited. This is awesome news. Woohoo! That means we actually get a loop happening from Timboon all the way back again. So, and it must mean that spring and summer is coming because more work can be done. So I'm quite happy to award Civil now to the tender process and to award them the contract. Their local content was very high, which is great. And it means just that all the people in the Corangamite Shire will benefit from that as well. So I'm more than happy to award Civil now the contract. And yeah, as I said, I can't wait for this little loop to be done so then we can all have a loop back into town again and make it easier to get around. So fantastic. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councillor Makin. Councillor Vocals.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Not quite as excited as Councillor Makin, but still excited. It's good to see Civil now pick up the contract. They've already done partial works on the rail trail. So it'd be good for them to get the contract with the local content and continue on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vocals. Councillors, any further comments? No. We'll put that to the vote. All in favour? That's carried. Item 9.9 relates to the procurement of Baraka Road Bridge replacement. Ms Love.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, this report is to seek a council resolution to enter into a contract for the replacement of the Baraka Road Bridge due to emergency circumstances as defined in the Local Government Act. On the 16th of June, one of Council's bridge assets, the Baraka Road Bridge, collapsed, and Council is now reviewing potential solutions to expedite the establishment of a replacement bridge at the site. Baraka Road is a public road on Council's asset register, and it traverses the Jellybrand River Road, which actually provides access for a local farmer whose farm and dairy operations is intersected by the river. To ensure that the public use of the road is reinstated as quickly as possible and access for the resident and minimise the impact to the landowner, it's proposed council resolve to approve entering into a contract for the replacement bridge based on emergency circumstances and to not undertake a public tender. Council officers will ensure that the principles of responsible financial management and achieving value for money are observed through the procurement in accordance with the Council's procurement policy. Councillors, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Love. Councillors, the recommendation, Councillor Vocals, move that. Happy to move it. Seconded by Councillor Hickey. Councillor Vocals, do you want to speak to this item?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, we need to get this bridge built. We need to get this bridge built as quick as possible. It was not good for this bridge to collapse. The truck that was on it was extremely lucky. Anyway, we need to get this built. So I think if we bypass the usual system while taking every precaution to get value for money, I'm happy for this to go through. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vocals. Councillor Hickey, did you have anything to add?
Thanks, Mayor. Just it's an essential part of the dairy industry to bring the milk back across the river. So yeah, let's get it done.
Thank you. Councillors, nothing further. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.10, the Corporate Risk Register Strategic Risk Report. Mr Ray, please.
Yeah, thank you, and through you, a requirement under the Local Government Act, specifically the regulations, requires councils to receive an update on its risk profile every 6 months, and so this report and its attachment provides that update as of mid-July. Mayor and councillors, there's been no change to council's strategic risk profile. It continues to be a medium risk. And there are 13 strategic risks that have been identified for council at this time. Mayor and councils, as a side issue, council is looking to put out a tender this week for a new internal audit service provider. The current incumbent provider, Crow, is eligible to reapply for that service. Why I raise that is the appointment will then provide an opportunity for council to reassess its strategic risk profile, at which point we may see some change to that profile. And the profile has been set on the basis of the historical basis from the former council. One of the key functions of a new council is to reassess that risk. And so we'll do that over the course of the next 6 months. Mayor, the report's before you. To receive the report for the July risk report is attached to the paper.
Terrific. Thank you, Mr. Ray. Councillors, recommendation there to receive the report. Someone like to move that, please? Councillor Beard, do I have a seconder? Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Beard.
Oh yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. And thank you, Director Ray. I was certainly glad to hear when you said about explaining the process of the corporate risk register review, strategic risk review. I think it's, critical. Obviously, new council makes sense. And also this being quite procedural, it's good that we get these regular updates, but certainly nothing alarming there in terms of questioning of anything. I have the utmost faith in the process that this goes through to get it to the council table, but certainly look forward to seeing what the next review comes back with, and potentially, as you said, there could be some changes going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Not too much more to add, really. Only to say that certainly the reality of risk in the organisation is not overlooked, and that we do have regular and ongoing oversight and adjustment in this space. And I am pleased to hear the comments that Mr. Ray made, that oversight in the future of that risk register. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillors, if there's nothing further, I'll put it to a vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.11 is proposed investment with the Victorian Funds Management Corporation. Mr. Ray.
Mayor, thank you, and through you. Mayor and councillors, the report proposes that council place an additional amount of $5 million with the Victorian Funds Management Corporation. A council resolution is required under council's investment policy for investments of this nature. Council currently has an investment with the corporation of $5 million, and it is generating strong returns in excess of 3% per annum. Historically, council has placed its investments in cash or term deposits. We are currently in a period of historical low returns for cash investment, where we're seeing returns well below 0.5% per annum. An investment of this nature doesn't come without risk, given that it is a managed fund investment. Notwithstanding that, we've attached a risk profile to that investment to the report. And then what we are recommending for the purposes of placing additional funds is an investment in a balanced portfolio. Mayor, council was also briefed previously on this proposal and had also received information on the fund's historic performance as well. Mayor, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Councillors, we've had a fairly thorough briefing on this. I think what we've said in the past is, good returns from the VFMC, and I think the fact that the state government uses this investment process is certainly reassuring. Also, the fact that we can, the money is available within 30 days if we need it. Someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Hickey. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Beard. Councillor Hickey.
Nearly forgot. Thanks, Mayor. The Victorian Managed Fund Corporation is a very safe investment. Needs to happen through our governance. The briefing we sat through was very thorough, and I can leave everyone rest assured that thorough diligence has been done, and you're happy to move this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Beard.
Yes, thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. We've got a very prudent and responsible finance team And I hope you can take that back to your team, Mr. Ray. It was very appreciative of the briefing that we had before we'd even entertain doing such a thing like this. But we have to be responsible for not only council, but more importantly, our ratepayers. And it's very evident if you talk to anyone on the street that we're not going to get much in terms of interest rate returns from term deposits. So this is something that is very smart. We've still been very responsible with it by not going too risky, but trying to get the best return for our ratepayers at the end of the day. We've got runs on the board. This council, we don't have any debt. We can pay for all our projects that we've got coming up over numerous years to come. And at the end of the day, we're the only local government council that are actually doing anything like this. So that's got to tell people something, that we know how to manage our funds, our money. And that's often not just because of council, but more importantly, because of the organisation as a whole. So I don't have any problem in supporting this. I was a bit apprehensive at the start, but once I'd had the briefing and know that everybody had done their due diligence around checking the risks associated with such an investment, I'm more than comfortable with hopefully the return that we're going to get, which is fantastic for everybody.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillors, any further comments, questions? I'll put it to a vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.12 is Council to Chief Executive Officer delegation. Mr Mason.
Through you, Madam Mayor, this is largely a procedural matter. It recommends that Council adopt a new instrument of delegation to myself as CEO, and this change is necessary because of changes to the EPA, a new EPA Act, and so this is being supported by some legal advice. So the recommendation is before you.
Thank you. Councillors, someone move this recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey, thank you. Councillor Kennedy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, it's procedural matter, so nothing too much to say about that. Just ensuring that the scope of powers allowed in the new legislation are encompassed in the updated instrument. So I support the endorsement.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Nothing further, Councillor Hickey. I'll put it to a vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.12 is the Environment Protection Act 2017, Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation and Instrument of Sub-Delegation. Mr Mason.
Again, largely a procedural matter. The Local Government Act requires that officers be given specific delegation powers, and this allows them to act. In this case, it's necessary to adopt a new instrument of appointment and authorisation because, pleasingly, we've got some new officers who have started with it. So keen to get them authorised and working for the community.
Thank you, Mr Mason. It is. It's very good that we have a new environmental health officer. Very hard to come by. Councillors, the recommendation there, again, very procedural. Someone like to move it, please? Thank you, Councillor Beard and Councillor Cole. Councillor Beard?
Purely procedural. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Nothing to add, Councillor Cole?
I'm happy. Thank you.
Okay. Councillors, I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.13, Planning Environment Act 1987, Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation. Last one for you, Mr Mason.
Yes, so very similar to the previous one, except instead of appointing to act under the Environment Act, this is appointment to act under the Planning Environment Act. So recommendations before you.
Thank you. Councillors, someone like to move this? Thank you, Councillor Hickey and Councillor Cole. Councillor Hickey, anything to add?
No, nothing, Mayor. Procedural.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Nothing from Councillor Cole. All those in favour? Carried. Right, councillors, that concludes the business papers, but is there any other business councillors would like to raise? Councillor Makin.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the passing of Eric Ward on the 12th of July at Timboon. He was 90 years old. Only 2 months ago, Eric attended the May Council meeting to announce he was donating a 4-acre parcel of land next to the bowling club in Timboon. He stood proudly in his Geelong Cats jumper and reminisced about his life, his love for his wife Mary, and the type of legacy we choose to leave. For Eric, all his hard work farming this land has translated into good fortune, and he wanted to share that fortune to benefit others. His vision was for an aged care home to be built on the land so that Timboon residents can be cared for close to home. On behalf of the council and the Timboon community, I'd want to extend my sympathies to Eric's family, friends, and express my gratitude for his wonderful gesture to the community. Eric was incredibly mindful of his legacy, and his exact words at the last council meeting were, "Most of us don't get the choice of when or how we die, but we get to choose how we live, and that's the legacy we leave. Together, we will do all we can to ensure we honour your vision." So thank you, Eric, and my sympathies to all his family.
That's very well said, Councillor Makin. It was an incredibly generous gift that he gave to the Timboon community, and incredibly sad that he passed so soon after that. And I know Councillor Hickey's got had a tribute up for the Geelong Football Club. So yes, absolutely pass on our sympathies to Eric's family. We obviously don't have a gallery. Mr. Mason, has there been any questions lodged as part of open forum?
No, just checking now, Madam Mayor, no questions lodged. So
thank you. So thank you to those that have been watching us on the live stream. I hope it hasn't been too difficult to watch, and thank you, councillors and officers, and I wish everybody a good evening.